Kamala Harris has kicked off a dynamic week of media appearances, darting from TV studios to late-night shows and podcast interviews. Her goal? To secure an advantage over Donald Trump in the key battleground states that are still incredibly competitive as the election approaches. Yeah, it's a crucial time for both campaigns. So, the Vice President's media blitz comes just as we enter the final stretch of the election, with only 30 days to go. Over 1.4 million Americans have already cast their ballots in early voting across 30 states, which is a pretty significant number, right? Harris's whirlwind tour is strategically designed to maximize her reach while minimizing risk. She's made appearances on popular platforms like CBS's 60 Minutes and the hit podcast Call Her Daddy, which has a massive following among women. Okay, this makes a lot of sense. Targeting key demographics is essential when every vote counts. This Tuesday, she heads to the media capital of the world, New York City. She'll be featured on ABC's The View, which is a daytime powerhouse, and will also make a stop at The Howard Stern Show. Oh, and she's set to record an episode with late-night host Stephen Colbert as well. That's a lot of exposure in just one day. The first round of Harris's comments rolled out on 60 Minutes over the weekend, with the full interview scheduled for broadcast the following day. It's interesting that she'll be appearing solo since Trump opted out of this long-standing election tradition that has been around for more than 50 years. I see what they're doing here. They're capitalizing on the spotlight. In a short clip released by 60 Minutes, Harris was asked about the Biden administration's influence on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has been known for not always adhering to Washington's guidance. When questioned about whether the U.S. considers Netanyahu a real close ally, she responded with all due respect, "The better question is, do we have an important alliance between the American people and the Israeli people? And the answer to that question is yes." Heyman, that's a diplomatic response for sure. Since Harris rose to prominence as the Democratic presidential nominee after Joe Biden stepped aside, some critics have pointed out her relative avoidance of press interviews. This has become a talking point for Republican leaders and pundits, especially on Fox News, who frequently accuse her of being media shy. Yeah, that narrative is definitely something her team wants to counter. The timing of this media blitz is particularly strategic, as it aims to reshape perceptions while reaching key demographic groups that are critical for a win in November. Call Her Daddy, for instance, is Spotify's top podcast among women, and The View attracts around 2.5 million viewers, predominantly female. Meanwhile, Colbert's show is a hit among younger audiences aged 18 to 49, another demographic that could be pivotal for Harris. And it's not just Harris making waves. Her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, is also making the media rounds. He started his own press push this week, appearing on Fox News Sunday, where he tackled questions about the pro-abortion law he signed in his state. He was also pressed to clarify some previous misstatements about his military experience and fertility treatments. I mean, talk about tough questions, right? Walz admitted to his missteps, calling himself a knucklehead. He told Fox News Sunday, "To be honest with you, I don't think the American people care whether I used IUI or IVF. What they understand is that Donald Trump would resist these things. I speak passionately. And I'll own up when I misspeak or make a mistake. That's a refreshing take. Owning up to your errors can resonate well with voters." As we head into the final month of campaigning, the latest opinion polls show Harris leading Trump by 3 percentage points nationally. However, in the critical battleground states where the real race is at, Harris is ahead in 5 of 7 states, but the margins are still razor thin. This race is definitely still too close to call. Both candidates are ramping up their efforts in those crucial states: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Harris and Walz will be in Arizona this week, coinciding with the start of early voting on Wednesday. Perfect timing. Adding more firepower to the Democratic campaign, former President Barack Obama is set to kick off his own round of appearances in Pennsylvania, another vital swing state. He'll start in Pittsburgh and then travel across the state, rallying support for Harris and Walz. That's a big deal. Obama's popularity can certainly influence undecided voters. On the other side of the aisle, Trump is also making his moves. He has a rally scheduled in Juneau, Wisconsin, and just held an event in Butler, Pennsylvania, the site of an attempted assassination against him back in July. His son Eric took the opportunity to push the narrative that Democrats were behind that attack, which is a pretty wild claim, right? During the rally, Eric Trump stated, "They tried to kill him. It's because the Democratic Party can't do anything right." This kind of rhetoric is concerning, especially as tensions rise leading up to the election. Meanwhile, Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, was asked about these incendiary comments amid growing concerns about political violence. He dodged the question, saying he hadn't heard the full speeches. Not exactly reassuring, huh? When pressed about whether Trump lost the 2020 election, Johnson also sidestepped the issue, citing a media gotcha game. Melania Trump, in her recent interview with Fox News' Maria Bartiromo, was also asked about her trust in federal officials following the assassination attempt. Her response: "It's hard to say who you really trust. You want to, but it's always a question mark." That's a pretty loaded statement, wouldn't you say? In addition to these serious topics, Melania revealed her pro-abortion stance in her new book. Melania, she stated that her husband has always known her beliefs, emphasizing her belief in individual freedom. "He knew my position and my beliefs since the day we met, and I believe in individual freedom. I want to decide what I want to do with my body. I don't want government in my personal business," she asserted. That's a strong statement, especially coming from someone in her position. As the election looms closer, the stakes are high, and both sides are pulling out all the stops. With media appearances, rallies, and strategic targeting of key demographics, it's going to be a wild ride leading up to November 5th. What do you think will happen? It's anyone's game right now.
Thanks for watching our video. Please hit the bell icon and subscribe the channel. Thank you.